This week I am going to be doing watercolours and just show you some simple ways you can create really nice effects with watercolours when painting flowers, just in the example of flowers today. I've got a lovely orchid here from home. I think I put it on the group that it had come back to life after 2 years, so it's sort of, it's my new favourite thing. I'm going to show you, I realise some of you might not have watercolour paper or watercolours at home, but you can get them relatively cheaply online. So apologies if you don't have them, but I'm sort of running out of things to do that you can do, that everything that you'll have things at home for, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to do this, and for those of you that do have it, then give it a go. And if you want to ask me any questions about where you get them from or what quality they need to be, or you can just get basic watercolour paints. You can get the solid blocks of watercolour paints, which you dilute with water, or you can get the tubes, which are a lot more concentrated, these ones here. And they're really cheap, they're not expensive. Also watercolour pencils, which I've mentioned before in the last, I think the second video or something, are really great as well for adding detail and sort of strength of colour. So what I'm going to do is show you how you can create lovely watermarks and the delicate, you can really recreate the delicate sort of nature of a petal with watercolours, much more than you can with acrylics and other kind of paints, because they're very gentle, and the way that you use them, you can either use them, you can really get a lot out of them if you use them in the right way. A lot of people kind of use them and they get annoyed with them because they are quite a difficult thing to get your head around. The principle is that you add a huge amount of water and the colour adds the water, and that makes it paler, whereas ordinarily with acrylics, for example, you'd add white to make it lighter. So it's just a slightly different way of working. As I say that every week, I'm like a broken record. But Lupin, oh, he's lying in the sun. He was here. Lupin, there he is. Can you see him? There's his little head. There, Lupin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I'm going to put the orchid just in front. You can't really see it there, but I can't really see it if I put it there. I'm going to have to keep turning my head away from you. So I'm going to put it right there, but it is just for your reference. It is. Oh, I'm not going to start doing that again. Moving that around. So what you want to get, all you need is paintbrushes. It's good to have a few different varieties of paintbrushes. Thick, thin ones, thick ones. Sable brushes are preferable with watercolours. The ones that are very soft, have soft bristles, not the. So you get this kind of wiry, coarse brushes that you use for oil paints and acrylic paints. But these are better for these nice thin sable ones there. And I've got inks as well, which inks kind of work with when you disperse them with water. They work really nicely as well. The orchid I've got is a very magenta pink, and that's quite a difficult colour to achieve naturally when mixing colours, so I'll give it a go, but I have got this purple ink should I struggle with that, because we haven't really got that big a selection of watercolours. So I'm going to use, to start with, I'm going to get a paintbrush, thick paintbrush-ish, thickish, and I'm going to flood an area. I've put this here so that you can see a little bit more of what I'm doing, because usually it's quite low down on the table. So we'll see how this goes. It may run down the paper, but we shall see. I've got my what's it called? Paper in portrait, so that because my orchid's very tall and thin, and I'm not going to do it full. I'm just going to do it. It's quite a nice thing to think about when you're doing painting. Is the blank space can really affect how the picture looks. So consider that. Sometimes it's nice to fill the whole page, almost have the petals coming off, so that you can't see the edges of them. That's a really nice way of doing it. And also, or even the other way, it would have to have it off to one side or in one part of the paper, leaving a lot of area of white space. So I think I'm going to go for a sort of exaggerated petal shape. So I'm going to go sort of big up here in this top left corner, sort of exaggerated size, exaggerated scale, should I say, and then sort of make it sort of slightly smaller down here, so it sort of distorts the scale a bit. Well, I say I'm going to have a go at it. I'm not very good at watercolours. I never have really loved them. my mum used to do loads of beautiful watercolour paintings of flowers, and I used to be really jealous, and I've never been able to do it, but I will give it my best shot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at this. You see the petal leaves are really distinctive. They're sort of like half, they're sort of cut in half, and they've got this sort of balloon shape with a tapered middle. So I'm going to position that, and I'm going to get a load of water on my paintbrush, and I'm going to just start with water on the page. So I'm just going to draw the shape of my petal with water. Now this is quite hard to see because you can't see the water, obviously, because it's clear. But round about, you know, what you want is a general shape of your petal. So I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to get another paintbrush, and I'm going to get some of this colour here. I'm going to make a little red or purple going on. It's not very magenta, is it? Let's have a go anyway. And I'm going to get a little, pick out what colour, it's kind of like burnty red. And it's got a really lovely white outer edge as well, so if you can see here. And I'm going to just plop a bit of ink here. And you can see it start to disperse. And the ink will travel wherever the water is. And you can watch it happen. I'm going to pull that a little bit closer for a sec so that you can see that. And it really is lovely. It travels along the lines of where the water is. Can you see that there? And you can watch it disperse. It's quite mesmerising, really. I'm going to get, and that really is the idea. It's to allow the ink or the watercolour to kind of travel where it wants to go. So I'm going to do that. It's useful to have a little blotting tissue just in case of any excess. You can just gently soak up any excess water that's going to dribble and cause problems around the place. Now that's way too purple in my opinion. I know I don't like purple, but I do love the colour of this orchid. I like naturally occurring purple, just not purple glittery things. And it's got these beautiful lines running, and I did say about the white edge, didn't I, which hasn't. So I'm going to try and avoid the edge. And it's got some really lovely like tributaries, like a river would have. So I'm just going to basically get some sort of base colour down. The good thing about watercolours is you can rehydrate them. Like these are really, really old in here from a long time ago, and I've just added a bit of water, and you can literally rehydrate them forever and ever. I'm going to add a bit of red in there because there is, and it's, when you paint flowers, you really, really, really need to pay attention to, they're never just one colour. They are really, really, it's just full of colours, and to get a true lightness, or even if that's not what you're going for, that's fine, but it is really important to look as much as you can at where the colours change, and even the light that might be affecting how they look and how the colours look. I'm going to get a really fine paintbrush now, and I'm going to just go in there, really fine one, whoops, I always forget where the camera is there, yeah. And I'm going to go in there and just paint in some of these lines, like so. Oh, that's the wrong colour. Oh. Let's get some paper, ink, there. And I'm just going to paint in some of these. This isn't actually very thin, the thinner one. Thinner the better, really. The brushes in the studio are really, really sorry looking at the moment. I must order some new ones for when we're back, hopefully back and running as per usual. So I'm just going to add in some of these. And whenever you don't like something, the good thing about watercolour is you can just dab. You can add a lot of water. So flood, if I didn't like what I just did, I'd flood that with water and I'd dab it off, and it would literally just lift the ink off there, which is really useful. I'm going to go in with a little bit of that there. Now I'm just going to show you this, it's quite cool. I'm going to get a watercolour pencil, a pink one, sort of crimson colour. I'm going to draw in I'm going to pull out some of this middle blot of ink that's happened here at the where I started. I'm going to pull it out, and I think I need a little bit more water, so I'm going to add some more water generally. And you need watercolour paper, because if you use normal paper for this, you will it will just fall apart. So yeah, it really is essential that you have watercolour paper. Printing paper works well, as in printing relief etching paper, but not many. I mean, no one's gonna have that at home, are they? But and it's really expensive as well. It's like £5 a sheet or something. I've just put those lines in, and I'm gonna just disperse them with a bit of water. I really don't like that bit that's happened there. It lost all its kind of, so I'm gonna lift off some of that. I think it won't work because I've used ink rather than watercolour on that, which is a terrible example, but I'm going to try and lift some of that off, and lost some definition there. As I said, flowers and watercolour aren't my forte, so don't judge me. It's just a nice thing to have a go at, and it's really nice just to watch how the ink and the paint move on the water. It's also quite mesmerising about it. Add those in there, and then I'm going to get my other watercolour pencil and drag that down there. And these, as I said in the beginning, these pencils allow you to have a lot more intense colour, which is, I need to sharpen this, but I'm kind of being lazy and it's gone a bit fluffy and weird, but hey ho. And then I'm gonna, good nice thing to do as well is to use a scratchy end of something, so maybe I'll use the end of my, it's not really sharp enough, end of a paintbrush, and drag that through there, so you can get a bit more water. And drag that down through there. Da-da-da. So I'm going to move on to the other petal now. And it's like a nice yellow colour behind it, so I'm going to get some yellow. It's kind of peachy yellow. Oops, I didn't put water on first. Load of water. Oops. And then add yellow. And it's got a kind of yellowy. It's kind of hard to do this on a non-flat surface because the ink just naturally wants to travel down. So it's not pooling as I'd like it to, but for the purposes of showing you on this video, I think I'll just keep it like this, because otherwise you can't see what I'm doing. And that goes behind there. Oops. And then I'm just going to add some pink. Drag that through there. Kind of want to get a bit of definition happening. That pencil's not working very well, so I'm going to get thin paintbrush again, or thinnish paintbrush again. And you can, really nice thing about watercolours is you can work into them when they're, you can let them dry and work into them a little bit more if you want. If you've lost, like I have, lost any definition, then that's a nice way to do it. I think I've just got paint all over my face. No, I haven't, sorry. Right then, bigger petal, other one. I'm going to get my big paintbrush again, get some water, do that sort of shape again. And then I'm going to add some colour to that there. And it is just going to pull, I know it's just going to travel down, which is really annoying. I have to hold that up. That's it. And then let's just flatten it a minute to do that, so that it doesn't all travel one way. Stop it! And then whilst it's wet, I'm pooling like that, I'm going to drag the colour out to the end. I hope this is all making sense. I realise it's probably a bit gibbery, but I suppose there's nothing new there. And yeah, just have a play, layer up. If it goes wrong, start again, or just work over it. Or the thing is with watercolors, you can overwork them, and then it just ends up looking like a car crash. That's what happens to me every time, which is probably not what's going to happen to this. It's not really. It doesn't matter. We're only doing this to have a go at stuff, aren't we? So it's really not that important. The having a go is the important part. I'm going to add a lilac in here because there is a strong sort of lilac-y colour running through that. Just with the watercolour pencil the right before, like I said. That's there. That's there. I'm going to add a bit more water. Oh, like in 15 minutes. Ooh. And then the watercolour pencil, when you've drawn into it with the watercolour pencil, and then you add water to that then disperses as well. So you get like sort of distorted lines, which is really nice. Sort of gone a bit bubbly. This is really, really cheap watercolour paper. I couldn't find anything else in the studio, so it's not the best. Hey ho. Add a bit of colour there, and then what am I doing? Oh yeah. So I've got this curly bit now, the sort of middle bit of the orchid, sort of like weird little talon bit. So I'm going to attempt that in a sort of very dark reddy colour. I really don't have very many good colours either. I'm not well equipped for this particular workshop. Not that I am ever well equipped for it, but this is very much the least equipped I've been so far. And if you didn't want to do the pooling of water, you don't have to. You can add just colour, flat colour down first, and then add water to it. Just have a play. Like I said, it's just really about getting used to how the medium works and how you want it to work. And you'll never do that unless you just have a go. So it's just the confidence to just give it a go, and there is no right or wrong or whatever. Yellow there. God, I just don't understand people that like drawing plants. I shouldn't say that, but I just don't have the. Like, it's an amazing thing when you see somebody that's done a beautiful drawing of a plant. There's like nothing quite like it, but I just can't seem to get on with it very well. I really want some more definition, but I haven't got the right sharpness or pen. And this paper's fluffing loads. Oh god, disaster. Oh well. Yeah, it's going to be a hole in it now, which is helpful, isn't it? Oh well. I'm going to move on to the stem. With the stem, I'm just going to do a really like quick line. Like that. And I'm going to add green and see what happens, because it will run down. I haven't got any green ink, but I haven't got any green watercolour either, have I? Is that green? No. Oh dear. Green. Oh, my green is empty. Maybe I've got a green tube in. These tubes are a bit dried up. Olive green. Let's have a go at that one. It's a bit dry. It's the irony of the watercolour being dried up. How is that possible? Oh dear. I'll make a green. Okay, quickly. A bit of yellow, a bit of blue. I don't want a turquoise green. I want a kind of yellowy green. That'll do. And then I'm just going to add my paint to that. I much prefer the tubes. The tubes are good because you get a really intense colour. They're a bit more forgiving than these palette things. I need a green pencil maybe and draw in that little bit there. And they're sort of knobbly, aren't they, orchid stalks? They're sort of wiry and alien-like. It's going to hatch in some darkness so that when I go back over it, water it or something. Oops. Yeah, see, this watercolour paper doesn't even blend. You can't even blend the colours. Ah. Awful, horrible, horrible paper. Let's just get rid of that. To do some green. Let's try this green, shall we? Not having much luck. I'd always managed to make such a mess as well. I'm a messy person. I think this is quite possibly the worst paper I've ever come across in the world. It's truly, truly horrible. Oh well. So that's a good lesson we've learnt today. It is worth buying some decent watercolour paper. De La Rowney or Derwent or something like that. I would avoid the Works for watercolour paper because this is from the Works, and it's rubbish. So now I'm just going to do, what time are we on? 22 minutes. Oh, bloody hell. Okay. I'm going to do a big wash of green for the flower, for the, what's it called, leaf. Oops. I'll see what happens if I add yellow. See, I'm really going for it in terms of messing around here because I really have no idea what I'm doing. So, add some yellow and some blue. Ooh. Let's try and make a green. What sort of ink is this? Oh, acrylic. Oh. Yeah, not great. Oh. And it just comes down like that. Get this, put a little detail in, goes down there like that. Right, disaster. But, so that's really a workshop on how not to draw a flower. But the process of water, like pooling the water and then dabbing it and adding the colour, you can build up layers of pigment and get that diversity in the colour in the plant, which is a really nice way to do it. So, terrible example, but have a go, post your pictures, and that is it really. I feel like I just repeat myself every week, so apologies for that. But I hope you all enjoy it anyway, and yeah, take care, bye bye.